houses or apartments for people to live in. Okay? And there was enough room over here when the zealots arrived. That was enough room for them to live with their families. The most important, there are two important rooms in Masada. Both of them we skip because the condition was not good to sit in. One is very close to us, and this is the synagogue. Now, Masada's synagogue is one of the oldest synagogues that we are aware of. We need to understand this is a synagogue that was built in time that there was a Jewish temple. And as I told you, it was not very clear to us what people used to do in the synagogue. Okay? More than that, it was made to a synagogue, but originally it was built as King Herod's royal stables. And as my professor said, there's nothing royal about stables. All the horses smell really bad. So why would the zealots that arrive over here, people that are very, very spiritual, really extremist, would choose out of all the rooms in Masada, the palaces and the houses, why would they choose the stables to make them a synagogue?
Humble themselves.
Maybe to humble themselves. They were humble enough, that's for sure. But we don't know for sure. But we have a very good suggestion. And this is the direction. This is the only room that really faces Jerusalem. Today all synagogues in the world face Jerusalem. We believe that this is the first synagogue in the world that was built to face the direction of Jerusalem. When Jews pray today, they pray through Jerusalem. We believe this was the first place that people pray in the direction of Jerusalem. But this room is not important because it's the first synagogue that was facing Jerusalem. It's important because what was found inside. Masada was one of the first and largest project of the Israeli Archaeological Department. In the 1950s, just after Israel's independence war, they sent here an excavation to dig. And the guy that was digging here is very famous. His name is G.R.C. Yadin. His father was a professor of Hebrew history, Jewish history, that sent him to try to find the Dead Scroll seas in Hebron. Remember, I told you that the professor that found him was his son was in the Jewish militia, and G.R.C. Yadin was not only in the Jewish militia. Later on, he became the most important officer in the IDF. He was less than 40 years old. He was less than 30 years old, and he was acting chief of staff in Israel Independence War. And later on, he became a parliament member, but he said that this is the bloodiest battleground that he ever witnessed, so he resigned politics. And he decided to become a professor for archaeology. He was a very tough Israeli. He'd been brought up in a kibbutz. He was in the Jewish militia. He was in a war. He is a secular man. And he's digging over here, and he found in the synagogue, he found the synagogue's gniza. What is gniza? Jews do not throw away the holy scripts. We believe that they're holy. So we cannot just throw a piece of holy script. We bury them in the ground. And normally in the synagogue, in a holy place. So he found the gniza with many scripts inside and scrolls. And because of the dry climate, you can open and read. And this is amazing, to be able to read something that's in the ground for 2,000 years. This is amazing. And he found many scrolls, but the one that is the most intact and he can actually read many parts of it is the one that I'm going to read you now. And he started to read, and he started immediately to cry. Now he is a tough Israelis. Israelis are very tough. We don't cry. Okay, Israeli men never cry. And this is like the, he is tough Israeli, extremely short shorts, sandals, button-up shirt that button up to his belly button, a pipe in his mouth. Well, what do you mean you cry because of a scroll in the ground? So let's read. The hand of the Lord was upon me, and he took me out by the wind of the Lord and set me down in the valley. It was filled with bones. This is Ezekiel 37, the valley of the dry bone. And he made me pass by them all around. And look, there were very many on the surface of the valley. And look, they were very dry. And he said to me, man, can these bones live? And I said, oh, Master Lord, it is you who knows. And he said, prophesy to these bones and say to them, O dry bones, listen to the word of the Lord. Thus say the Lord, Master, the Lord, to the dry bones, I am about to bring breath into you, and ye shall live, and I will lay sinews over you, and bring up flesh over you, and stretch over you skin, and I will put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am the Lord. And later on it said, therefore prophesy and say to them, thou say the Master, the Lord, I am about to open your graves, and I will bring you up, my people, from your grave, and bring you to Israel's soil. And ye shall know that I am the Lord, when I open your grave, and when I bring you up from your graves, my people, and I will put my breath in you, and you shall live, and I will set you on your soil, and you shall know that I, the Lord, have spoken, and have done it, say the Lord. So why is he crying? He's not a real believer, but he said, I can imagine that the people of Masada, they know that they are the last one. They know that the Romans are about to kill them all, and Jerusalem is lost. And any Jewish presence over here, independence, is lost. And they tell themselves, God promises this is not the end. And he said, 1900 years later, and after the Holocaust, and after the independence war, I am the living proof. God kept his word. God kept his word and brought us back here. And when we want to understand Masada, why is it so important to Israelis? This is the last place that we've been independent, and this is the place, in a way, that we claim our independence again. This is our land, and this was promised to us. And God kept his word. He was keeping us. So many people and so many nations been erased when they're not on their land. But God kept us as a nation, as a people, for a reason, and brought us back here as he promised. He promised it by the prophet as it is. And even a tough Israeli like Yigal Yadin that is digging over here, and he's not a great believer, but he read it, he cannot deny it. Okay? And he found it in the synagogue, and today it's one of the most important scrolls that we have in Israel Museum. So when we ask ourselves, why is Masada so important to Israeli? This is one reason. The other reason, I will tell you in few minutes. Okay?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. When we'll talk about how the battle developed over Masada.